There is a organization in Iowa that is literally saving the lives of babies. And now the co-founders of that organization would like it to go nationwide. One of those co-founders is on the Grip Tight Foundation Repair Newsmaker line. It is Kate Safris. And Kate, welcome to WHO Radio in Des Moines. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So, Kate, I always open with the question of what inspired you to do what you're doing, what inspired your passion for this movement called Count the Kicks. Tell me a little bit about your story.
Sure. Well, I was inspired just by life, I guess. In 2001, my husband and I had a daughter, Emma, who was born. She actually lived 8 days and died from congenital heart defects. And when you're faced with a devastating loss like that, anyone who has gone through grief of any sort, you think to yourself, what next? There's definitely a feeling of, that devastation and not knowing, how you move on, how you find that happiness and what meaning that life had. And with Emma, she was here for 8 days, and so I was very much faced with having to make some meaning from her life. My husband looked at me one day. I snapped at him in the car one day. I was angry and grieving, and he said, "You cannot be this angry forever." And that was a pivotal moment for me. I knew I couldn't be that angry forever. I didn't want to be that bitter mom that was angry because she had a loss. And so, that moment was really that inspiration, but I didn't know at the time what that would look like. Fast forward to a couple of years later, and I started to connect with other Des Moines moms who had lost babies. And in our situation, Emma was not compatible with life, but these 4 other moms that I met all had stillborn babies. Those babies had died in the womb. And other than a cord accident, maybe a cord wrapped around the neck, something that had gone on during pregnancy, those babies were perfectly healthy. And I looked at them and I knew my daughter was not healthy, but those babies were fine. And we started to get together and not only just to get through our grief, but we started to ask the questions, why is this happening? Because we had been told that this was rare. All these moms, and one of our founders had been told, you have a better chance of winning the lottery than you do of having a stillborn baby. And so we started to investigate that and found actually there are 24,000 babies every year in the United States that are stillborn. And we said, that doesn't sound very rare.
Right.
And, what can we do about this? So we started to research and said, what can we do? And that's kind of how Count the Kicks was formed. It was inspired by our own grief, and we knew we had to make our daughters' lives meaningful for us.
And Kate, before we get to the work of Count the Kicks, I wanted to ask you a philosophical question. Tell me about the comfort that you experienced in getting together with these other women, because it seems to me like part of the healing process was being able to share the experience with someone that could empathize with your grief. Was that really what, first of all, you found satisfactory about this relationship with these other women?
Absolutely, 100%. The connection that we each had. We say we're all members of a club that we hope no one ever else has to join. But we were all there, and we could look at each other's eyes and knew exactly how one another was feeling. We didn't have to retell our story. We didn't have to explain. They got it, and that's that sisterhood really is what brought us together. And we would be in local coffee shops just trying to get through the day. And so I'd love to tell you that we jumped right in and started to try to save other babies, but we were trying to save ourselves for quite a while.
Great point.
Just getting ourselves and our families through, and fortunately then came to a place where we felt like we needed to help others.
So tell me a little bit about the Count the Kicks effort. I mean, because this is literally working to save babies' lives right now in Iowa. What is your organization emphasizing?
Absolutely. Well, we learned about a study that was done in Norway. And first, I should say there's very little research on stillbirth, which is very frustrating because as a parent who's lost a child, you feel like those babies, who's trying to fix this? And so we had to start investigating and looking for the research. And we found that 14 hospitals in Norway had actually educated their moms about tracking their baby's movements in the third trimester of pregnancy. And what they found is they were actually able to reduce their stillbirth rate by a third.
Wow.
And when we heard that, we went, we can do that. That's easy. It's simple. It's non-invasive. It's free. And we said, we can do that, and we want to start in Iowa. Great campaign, start in Iowa. And
that's right.
We can do it here. So we decided that that's where we were going to start, and we started doing lists with the help of Iowa Department of Public Health, our local hospitals here, University of Iowa hospitals. We started to get people on board here locally, and we said we want to teach moms to track babies' movements in the third trimester. And that's really as simple as it is. We now have an app. We used to start with more paper, pencil, a kick track card, but now with technology, we have a free app, and moms just go to that app, download that app, they tap or pick a time once, usually in the evening is usually when baby's active. They tap that app when they feel a kick, and once they get to 10 kicks, the app tracks how long it took, and they're doing that once a day, each day. And they're basically looking for patterns in the baby's movements. Typically, it'll take about the same time each day to get 10 movements. And what moms are looking for is if it starts to take longer, you started to see patterns, it typically takes 15 minutes and it's taking 2 hours. We want those moms to call their doctors. We don't claim to be medical professionals.
Right.
We feel like we're marketing this practice that's accepted in the medical field. We just want to empower moms to go talk to their doctors, alert them, and we have story after story that comes in where these babies are saved because their moms saved them by counting kicks.
It would seem to me, Kate, that the important part of your effort is that often moms say, look, I know I'm worrying about everything, and maybe could talk themselves out of contacting the doctor, saying, oh, it's just another one of those worries that I have. It seems to me like, for example, the application of your app would tell women, yes, it is okay to contact your doctor about that, and that seems to be a really important point of this program.
That's a huge part of our effort, Jeff. Absolutely. We all remember being in the doctor's office, and I'm sure there are women out there that remember, the doctor saying, how's the baby moving? I remember where I was when I heard that question, and I remember thinking, how do I answer that? I don't, fine?
Yeah.
I don't know what fine is. I didn't have any way to measure that, and I didn't know. Combine that with the fact that the last thing I think most of us as women want to do is bother their doctor, right? Middle of the night, call. And I remember many times saying to my husband, I'll just wait till the morning. I don't want to bother him. And what our message to moms is, our obstetricians don't go into this practice, to practice 9 to 5, and they know that. And they would much rather save a baby that might be in some kind of distress with a phone call and have that data that we're able to provide with Count the Kicks, because we can, now moms can say to their doctors, typically my baby gets 10 kicks in 15 minutes and it's taken 2 hours. And that phone call will usually mean, mom goes in and they are able to monitor that baby. Again, it's simple, it's free, it's non-invasive, and we want moms to feel empowered to do that, because story after story we get who said, I didn't want to call, but your brochure or your website told me to make the call. I did, and my baby's here because of that.
So, Kate, how do we take this thing nationwide? What do you need?
We need
money.
Money, obviously. That's always an important thing. Right? I wish that wasn't true. But absolutely, we do. We have a campaign called Save 6,000 Babies. And what we would like to do is take this campaign nationwide so that moms in every state are able to feel empowered, have this knowledge. Save 6,000 comes from the fact that here in Iowa, since we started the campaign, we began as the 33rd worst stillbirth rate in the country, and now we're the 3rd lowest.
Wow.
And we've reduced our stillbirth rate by 26% in 5 years. So if we did that nationwide and saved 6,000 babies nationwide, we could reduce that. If we reduced that stillbirth rate by 26% nationwide, we would save 6,000 babies.
6,000 babies.
Yep.
So, Kate, where do I go for more information?
CountTheKicks.org is our website. There are links there to donate. We're always encouraging everyone to share our information on social media. We've got some great videos. Tell pregnant moms, donate if you're able. And we're gonna take this throughout the country and save 6,000 babies.
Sounds good. Kate Safris, thanks for sharing your story this morning, and appreciate you. And we'll keep you up to date on your efforts.
Thanks so much.
Jeff, in for Jan. This is News Radio 1040 WHL.